Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening class. How are you today? I hope you are in good condition. In this occasion, I will introduce myself. My name is Jamhuri. Before we begin, let's we say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, we say praise worthy and thank Allah, who is praised and most high. Even though in limit condition, we still communicate and meet face to face in long distance because of Allah. Class, let's begin now. In this occasion, we are going to learn about invitation letter. An invitation letter is a type of letter written to an organization or an individual for their participation or presence at an event or an occasion. The occasion can be official, formal, or personal, or informal. There are two types of invitation. Part A. Official. Official invitation letters are written for inviting officials and certain distinguished people. They follow a formal format. The invitations are related to meetings, interviews, training, conference, etc. Part B. Personal. Personal invitation letters are written for inviting friends, peers, relatives, family members, or neighbors to social events such as weddings, birthday parties, anniversaries, or baby showers. The format is mixture of informal and formal letters. Expression of making, accepting, and declining invitation. Sometimes we have a situation and have to also invite some of friends to come. There are many situations that probably happened in our daily life, such as meeting, birthday party, graduation party, etc. Of course, we have to make an invitation for our guests. There will be two answers for them who are invited by us. They may come or accept the invitation, and they may not come or decline the invitation. The situation will be divided into formal and informal. There is a differences expression that is used in the different contexts of situation. Expression to make, accept or decline invitation, informal situation. Making invitation. For example, would you like to? I would very happy if. We would be delighted if you. Would you care to? We would be pleased if you could. Would you care to? Accepting invitation. For example, that's very kind of you. We'd like very much to. What delightful idea. With the greatest pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's delightful too. Declining invitation. I'm very sorry, I don't think I can. I'd like to, but I'm afraid I've already promised. Thank you for asking me, but unfortunately I can't. Now, please watch this video carefully.
How to write a letter, formal and informal. Formal letter. Formal letters are generally used in professional or important situations. For example, writing to your manager, requesting or providing information, or writing a complaint. Informal letters are generally used in non-professional situations. For example, writing to your relatives, writing to your friends, or writing to your co-workers. So this is a summary of everything to include in informal and informal letters. So informal letters generally include shorter sentences, whereas formal letters have full sentences. Informal letters lack formal grammar and vocabulary, whereas formal letters should include correct grammar and vocabulary. Contractions are generally used in informal letters, for example, I'd. However, for formal letters, we do not use contractions. Rather, you use the full word, for example, I'd would become I would. Idioms are expressions within the English language. These are generally used in informal letters. For example, on point means good. However, for formal letters, idioms should not be used. An active voice should be used in informal letters. For example, I completed the application, whereas for formal letters, a passive voice should be used. For example, the application form is complete. Phrasal verbs is another thing that is generally used in informal letters. For example, look into, whereas formal letters don't have any phrasal verbs. For example, rather than saying look into, you would say investigate or research. Abbreviations can be used in informal letters, for example, ASAP, which means as soon as possible. However, abbreviations should not be used for formal letters. Rather, you would structure your sentence in a polite way. For example, rather than saying ASAP, you can say at your convenience. Exclamation marks can be used for informal letters. However, they should be avoided in formal letters. Lastly, imperatives. Imperatives are sentences that start with a verb. For example, complete the form. These can be used in informal letters, however, should be avoided for formal letters. Rather, again, you structure your sentence in a polite manner and you can say, you may complete the form when you have time. This is a summary of everything you should include in your letter. So we'll go through the informal way and then the formal way. So to start with, the greeting. Informal greetings can generally be dear, followed by the name of the person, or hello, hi. Formal greetings are generally dear sir, madam, or dear Mr. and Mrs., followed by the surname if you're aware of who the person is. The opening sentence for informal letters can start with, I haven't spoke to you in ages, or thanks for the email or letter. Whereas formal opening sentence should be more like, I hope this letter finds you well, or thank you for your email letter regarding. Following from the opening sentence, you want to start the letter, start your paragraphs, and explain the reason why you are writing. So for informal letters, generally they can say, how have you been? Let me tell you about, or I'm writing this letter about. Formal letters will say, I am writing to complain, inform, or to request information about. Another example is, I am writing to you regarding. After the starting sentence, you want to provide the information within the paragraphs. So for informal letters, examples of this is great news, or unfortunately you didn't get the job, or I've attached my form. Formal ways of providing information include we are delighted to confirm your role at, or you will be required to bring your passport to the interview. Another example is please find attached my application form. The final remark is the statement that you make just before closing off. Informal ways of doing this include hope to hear from you soon or write back to me when you can, whereas formal ways of saying this includes I look forward to hearing from you or meeting you. Lastly, you want to close off the letter. So informal ways, you can say all the best or speak to you soon, whereas formal ways, normally we write yours sincerely if you have started the letter with Dear Mr. or Mrs., or yours faithfully when you start the letter with Dear Sir, Madam. This is the layout for a formal letter. So we have the sender's address in the right-hand corner at the top. Just below that is the date. The recipient's address goes on the left-hand side just below the date. Next, we write Dear, and then followed by the person you are writing to. Then you have the paragraphs in which you start your letter and you explain your reasoning for your letter. This shouldn't be too long. Generally 3 paragraphs with a couple of sentences each is enough. Lastly, You add your final thoughts or a summary and then thank them for reading your letter. Following that, you write yours sincerely or faithfully, followed by your name. Generally, a signature is useful for a formal letter. This can be handwritten. This is an example of a formal letter. So in the right hand corner we have the address, sender's address. Below that is the date. On the left hand side we have the recipient's address. So here starts the letter. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing to complain about an incident that occurred in your restaurant yesterday evening. While my family and I were enjoying our meal, we overheard two of your staff members arguing in the restaurant. This type of behaviour is extremely unprofessional and particularly upsetting for my kids to have to overhear. My family and I have been regular customers of your restaurant for years now, and we hope we can continue to enjoy your service. However, I hope the professionalism of your workers can be improved. I look forward to hearing from you. Yours faithfully, Anna Smith. This is a structure of an informal letter. Again, we have the sender's address in the right-hand corner, followed by the date. Then you start your letter with dear, followed by the person's name, and then a couple of paragraphs explaining what the reason for your letter and any other information. Then you end off your paragraphs with any final thoughts and a summary, and you also thank your reader for reading your letter. Lastly, you end off with a closing statement. This is an example of an informal letter. So we have the sender's address in the right-hand corner, followed by the date. And here starts the letter. To Bella, how are you? I haven't spoken to you in ages. I've been so busy lately with school and exams. I also went on holiday to Spain with my family. It was amazing. I wish you had been there. I have been thinking. It's nearly the summer holidays and I would love to meet up. We could go to the beach and you could stay at my house for a couple of days too. What do you think? I'll have to look into the prices of train tickets, but I'm sure it won't be too expensive. I'll also be starting a job during the summer holidays. I can't wait. Anyway, I hope to speak to you soon. Make sure you reply to me ASAP. Best wishes, Amy.